Oh, Ab, I've got some really sad news. I've had the
What?
biggest breakup of my life. The
What with?
scales are gone. Welcome to our podcast, Fuck the Diet Cycle, with myself, Lauren Knight, and Abby Lodge. This is for you if you want to cut through the diet industry bullshit and finally end that cycle. Grab yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's dive straight in, shall we?
Oh, that is
Lie
music
on the
to my
scales.
ears.
They're gone. Now, for many people, they're going to be sitting there going, what the fuck are you two talking about? But we also know that used people are getting on the scales more than once a week. And that is too much. And if you can't contain yourselves and you can't step away from the scales, we want you to bin them. Take the batteries out, get your husband or your partner to hide them. I don't care what you do with them, but stop stepping on them because you are getting hooked on that tiny little number that's affected by so many things that we're going to cover in this podcast. And it can really sway your week, your month, your day based upon what? That little flashy light that comes back in your face when you've been feeling amazing all week. You step on them scales and it's not what you set yourself up for. So therefore, you must have failed. You must have done shit. Something's gone wrong. Or it could just be that you might be due on for your period.
Exactly. And that's so many people. It's so hard for people to get their mind around that. Like I've got client scales here with me in my office because I was getting so fed up of people sabotaging themselves and be like, oh, I weighed today and I've put on. You haven't put on. If you've been 100% on plan, you haven't physically put on fats. It's water. And the scales aren't going to say to you, right, your weight is this. One, you know, pound of it is this, and 5 pounds of it is this, and whatever. No, it's just going to give you that gravitational kind of relationship to the earth. And then you become so bloody hooked on it. Get rid of the scales. If you are following your plan, whatever you're doing correctly, you are feeling good, you are getting your water in, you're making breakthroughs. And I don't just mean, oh, yeah, you've stuck to it, but it might be that your boss has really, really wound you up this week, and usually you would nosedive into a box of chocolates, and you didn't. Instead, you took yourself out of that office and you went for a walk around the block. That, in my book, is more success than that silly number on the scales, which, if you was to weigh yourself after you've eaten that bit of chocolate, it would naturally go up. And then what are you going to say? It's not working. Fuck it. I'll start again Monday.
Yeah. So let's think about this scientifically. In order for you to gain a pound of fat, you have to eat 3,500 calories plus your natural BMR. So we're not talking about your step calories or your program calories that you're already in a deficit. We're talking about your personal BMR, which is the daily calories that you're allowed to have to maintain, plus the additional 3,500. Now, I'm telling you that one bar of chocolate or that extra potato or that spoonful of pasta that you've just had isn't going to have a negative impact on the scales. And actually, how detrimental is it for those of you that are having something like, I don't know, a takeaway that's been planned into your program, or you have gone over your calorie allowance by 100 or whatever, and then punishing yourself by going, I told you I'd gain weight. I've stepped on the scales and it's gone up. So therefore, I need to restrict today. Or what's the point of doing this? Because every time I eat something that I enjoy, I just gain weight. Diet mentality has taught you over the years that the scales are the be and end all of your journey, and it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I can't stress you enough how, yes, the scales play a part of your journey, but the scales alongside your photos, alongside your feelings, alongside your dress size, alongside your inches, alongside your everything, but just the number on its own. Like, you need to realize that if you are focusing solely on the scales, they need to go. They've
Yep.
got to go because all it's going to do is keep on setting you back, and again in your journey and not let you progress and get out of this diet mentality.
And people place their worth on this number. Like and I remember you saying it back to me when I was like at goal, but I was like, oh, maybe I want to lose another stone. And you was like, do you walk in a room with a fucking sign on your head saying how much you weigh. No, you don't. Like, why does a certain number mean anything more or less than someone else's number? It absolutely doesn't. We're not defined as a person of how successful, how amazing, how kind, how all of these things we are because of this bloody number on the scales. Like, and I will tell clients if I know, and I've got one that at the moment she's getting a little bit upset with the scales. They're not going up or anything, they're coming down, but oh, it's not enough, it's not enough. And I said to her, you continue with this, I'm not weighing you when you come see me. We are not weighing, I'm taking your wins, what you've succeeded at this week, what positive has happened, and I'm not weighing you because you're so sucked into, oh, I've only lost a pound. And let's face it, only, I hate it when people say only, like,
A pound of fat is a lot.
it's a lot. It's absolutely a lot. And if you had that in your hands and actually thought of that you've slap it on your body, that's a lot. Absolutely. So
I say that a lot to my clients as well. If you were to put that pound or £2 into a rucksack or a little side bag and carry that around all day, you wouldn't then be saying at the end of the day, it's only a pound. You'll be telling me, oh my God, I've got a backache, I've got shoulder ache, this is heavy. And yet you've lost that, but you're not content with that because you've been told that the scales mean that much.
they're not magical. Scales are not magical. And I actually had a client this week. Bless him. He said, he came in for his first weigh and did absolutely amazing. And he said, do you know, because he'd been like reading all of our stuff and listening to the podcast, he said, do you know, before I came today, he said, I didn't weigh myself. I weighed a crate of Budweiser, like that left over from Christmas. And he said, that weighed 12 pounds. He said, and I picked that up and I thought, wow. And I was like, yeah. And that's putting into perspective of what you've lost. What I was like, could you imagine carrying that around on your back? And he was like, no. It's like, exactly, but that's just what, we have to put it into perspective that, yes, okay, Sharon down the road might have lost 15 stone overnight. She won't have lost 15 stone overnight. But if you are losing consistently 1 to 2 pounds a week, you're going to be doing better than what you would have been doing if you'd done nothing at all or allowed yourself to be so sucked into them scales that every time you see a number that wasn't favorable to you, going fuck it, because all that's happening is get on the scales if they have gone up, but not through a fat gain, like you said, period. Toilet, our body holds on to, we've got to get rid of that food in our system, guys. You've got to go for a poo. Water, muscle, all of these types of things. We need to take all of this into consideration when we are weighing ourselves. So if you are a pound up, for example, then you go and have something that's, 5 bars of chocolate, for example. What do you think that's going to do to the scales? Do you think that 5 bars of chocolate is going to go, oh, okay, so now the number's going to drop? No, the number's just going to keep going up and up and up until you reach a point of shit, I now got to do something about it. Got to restrict myself, get to the end of the day, binge, and then the cycle continues. So if you're finding yourself become so sucked in by the value of that number, that value of that scale, and how it determines you as a person, get rid. Get rid. Take your photos, take your measurements, clothes, how you're feeling, things that you are achieving. You might have come across a huge trigger in the week and you didn't, you managed to fight against this trigger and you distracted yourself and you put strategies in place. Amazing. That to me means more than a scale number.
And also things like, so a little funny story for you. As I lost weight, obviously my body changed, the shape of my body changed, the size of my body changed. Now, when I used to run up the stairs, I used to get around the applause. My thighs would clap me, right? So I say run. When I walked up the stairs, my thighs would clap me. Then as I lost weight, I was able to get up the stairs a little bit faster. They would clap me a little bit more. Until I got to the point where I'd lost a significant amount of weight, where I was like, oh shit, I haven't had a round of applause today because my thighs stopped clapping me. That doesn't show up on the scales. that the scales doesn't come back and say, you're not going to get a round of applause tonight, Lauren, because when you run up the scales, your thighs aren't slapping together anymore. And also another one that you'll be able to relate to, because you have baths as well. When I used to let the plug out of the bath, if I'd sat, I don't know if anyone else does this, but I sit in the bath, right? And I'd think the bath was empty. I'd stand up, shitload of water that had been blocked by my ass had just shot out because it couldn't get round my body. Now the bath just naturally flows out and it's all good. These are the things that the scales do not measure. The fact that you don't have to put your foot 5 steps up to paint your toenails is another victory, right? So start thinking about these things. The scales are the smallest part of your journey. Let's look at the bigger picture. I'm not saying that there's no place for the scales. There is, but it's not the biggest focus of your success. Thank you for listening. If you loved it, don't forget to press that subscribe button and the little bell so that you never miss a future episode. We will be back here with a new one on Sunday at 7 a.m. We'll see you there.